Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning, here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in Southeast Louisiana. I'm Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, and we're a group of radically inclusive spiritual renegades, healing hearts and creating community. And we live conscious spiritual living. Today's an overview of our series on the 5 agreements based upon the books by Don Ruiz. And as we briefly examine the 5 agreements today, you have an opportunity to decide if you're willing to examine what you believe and how you came to believe anything that is disempowering you in your life. So stay with us as we begin this journey to adopting agreements which bring us more love and more energy and more joy. Let's begin with prayer. We just take a deep, nourishing breath. And we might be noticing that outside spring is happening. There is green and lushness, flowers that are starting to bloom, and a new year for our spirituality is beginning. And all the love and the beauty and the joy and the peace and the ease that we see is right within us as expressions of the divine. And what I know to be the truth is that we are each here by divine appointment today to hear something in the message, in the music, in the reading, to hear possibly just a few words of a quote that touch our hearts. Or it might be many of those things that actually raise your consciousness level today. And as we move through this time together, what I know to be the truth is that we are raising the consciousness on the planet. So I'm grateful that you've decided to spend some time with us. You've decided to listen to the first of these 8 weeks, each of which is independent, and to embrace creating your life the way you want it rather than reacting to what's happening in it. So I am so grateful. I'm grateful for everyone in this community. I'm grateful for the time that you're giving us. And I release these words into the law that always says yes. Into that law of mind, spirit, and action, where the divine has already called all of this good. So I know it's already done. I say amen, and we affirm it together. And so it is. And our opening song today says a whole lot about what's important. Love is my decision. Isn't it true that when nothing else seems to lift us up, that someone who loves us can come by and say a kind word, and it gives us extra energy and maybe a little bit more hope? So enjoy the song. Sing along. Love is my decision.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. decision right here and now.
our time for celebration and healing. Our time in our service where we celebrate life and we pray for people who desire prayer. We begin with celebration, so I invite you to say aloud, so that the whole universe can hear it, any event in your life for which you're grateful and joyful this week. And now we turn to the healing portion of our service. We're a community steeped in healing. So we pause now to pray for anyone who's not feeling the joy of life that we perhaps were just feeling. They're not feeling maybe that they have things to celebrate. And I truly love this part of our service because it's so in alignment with who we are. So let's pray. God is all there is. God is that love and that peace and ease and grace and freedom and so much more. And as an individual expression of the divine, each of us have within us all of these qualities of spirit. They're available to us right here and right now. And what I know to be the truth is that there are people on this planet right now that aren't embracing those qualities. So we stop for a moment and we create a circle of love. And in this community, we place in that circle of love anyone that we recognize within ourselves or for someone else that might need prayer. So I'm going to pause, and I just invite you to say aloud the names of all of those people that you want to include in our circle of love. I know that God is right where each of us happens to be, right here and right now, moving in, through, and as each of us. And I know that the divine has heard every name that we spoke, either in our hearts or aloud. And what I'd like you to do now is pause again, and from your heart to all of theirs, just send out love, knowing that the divine knows exactly how to distribute it. And what I know to be the truth is that anything that needs to be released within each of these people is being released now, be it disease of the mind, of the body, of the soul. I know that anything that's seeking to come forth and be lifted up can be lifted up. And that this release and this lifting up is healing whatever's called to be healed. I know that each of these people is feeling more deeply their connection with the divine right now. I have evidence of that, and I know it to be the truth for everyone that we placed in our circle. So I'm so grateful to know that the God without is the God within me. The God without is the God within every person in our circle, every person in this community, and every person on this planet. And I'm grateful for that power of community prayer and what it means to the uplifting of the people on this planet. So it's from all that gratitude that I release this prayer into the law of mind, spirit, and action. Because I know that the divine, in all of its wisdom, has already called all of this good. Any heavy lifting that needs to be done to heal whatever needs to be healed, the divine is already taken care of. So I can just know it's already done, say amen, and together we can affirm it. And so it is. I invite you to join me for our community affirmation. My life's purpose is already within me, and I am committed to its unfoldment. I am here by divine appointment to join in a community that cares for one another, to be in a place that transforms people's lives, to remember the highest truth about myself, to learn spiritual tools for personal transformation, and thus to make the world a more joyful place. This is our time for meditation. And today the song is You Can Relax Now. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing over these next 8 weeks. relaxing into the knowledge of who we are and who we've come here to be, and what type of agreements we can make with ourselves and others so that we can live a life that's filled with energy and love. So I invite you just to let go of anything in the past, to release any thoughts of the future, and just be in the now.
Relax now. Come on and open your eyes. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. Oh, my sweet, sweet child. Who do you think you are? You are the child of God, and that will never change.
So we just settle in, relax, remember that we are the children of the divine, and we know that all of our beliefs impact who we are and how we are on this planet. So we open ourselves to examining our beliefs and removing any of them that are dysfunctional, and just embracing new agreements with ourselves that bring love and joy into our being. And so as we come back from this meditation, just bring with you those gentle words of the divine that encourage you to eliminate your dysfunctional beliefs and embrace new ones that bring joy into your life.
Relax now. Come on and open your eyes. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. Oh, my sweet, sweet child. Who do you think you are? You are the child of God, and that will never change. You can relax now. Come on and open your eyes. Breathe deeply now. I am with you. Oh, my sweet, sweet child. Who do you think you are? You are the child of God, and that will never change. were separate, but now you hear my voice and you can relax now. Come on and open your eyes, breathe deeply now. I am with you, oh my sweet, sweet child. Who do you think you are? You are the child of God, and that will never change.
Hello, I'm Robin Vi Carpenter Briscoe, and I'm here to do today's reading. And I will be reading from The 4 Agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz. Prelude to a New Dream. There are thousands of agreements you have made with yourself, with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, with your children. But the most important agreements are the ones you made with yourself. In these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how to behave. The result is what we call your personality. In these agreements, you say, this is what I am. This is what I believe. I can do certain things, and some things I cannot do. This is reality. That is fantasy. This is possible. That is impossible. One single agreement is not such a problem, but we have made many agreements that make us suffer, that make us fail in life. If you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break those agreements. One single agreement is not such a problem, but we have many agreements that make us suffer, that make us fail in life. If you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break those agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy, but the agreements that come from love help us to conserve energy and even gain extra energy. Each of us is born with a certain amount of personal power that we rebuild every day after we rest. Unfortunately, we spend all our personal power first to create all these agreements, and then to keep these agreements. Our personal power is dissipated by all the agreements we have created, and the result is that we feel powerless. We have just enough power to survive every day, because most of it is used to keep the agreements that trap us on this dream of the planet. How can we change the entire dream of our life when we have no power to change even the smallest agreement? If we can see it is our agreements that rule our own life and we don't like the dream of our life, we need to change the agreements. When we are finally ready to change our agreements, there are 4 very powerful agreements that will help us break those agreements that come from fear and deplete energy. Each time you break an agreement, all the power you use to create it returns to you. If you adopt these 4 new agreements, they will create enough personal power for you to change the entire system of old agreements. You need a very strong will in order to adopt the 4 agreements. But if you can imagine to live your life with these agreements, the transformation in your life will be amazing. You see the drama of hell disappear right before your very eyes. Instead of living in a dream of hell, you'll be creating a new dream, your personal dream of heaven.
This song before the talk is absolutely perfect. It's called Love Lifted Me. Because what I know is that love can lift us up and give us faith and hope and joy when other things may not be happening.
Love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me, love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me. All my heart to God I give, ever to love I cling. In God's blessed presence live, never to know my truth. Love so mighty and so true, merit my soul's best song. Faithful loving service to help me belong. Love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me, love lifted me, love lifted me, when nothing else could help. Love lifted me.
I want to thank Gary Lynn Floyd and the CSL music team for the music today, and Robin for reading. We're in week 1 of the 5 agreement series, the first of our 8 weeks, and each week is independent. All of the weeks will be posted on our website and on our YouTube channel. In this series, we're learning to break the dysfunctional agreements that we made with ourselves when we were growing up and adopt new agreements, which is a new set of beliefs that, as the reading said, come from a place of love and thus bring us more energy rather than draining us or having us live in fear that we created because of our false beliefs. Today, the lesson is really bringing us a big challenge. Are we willing to examine what we believe? Today, we start a journey to learn to look at what we believe and to have confidence that within us is a divine presence of love, not of fear, of guilt, or of shame, and how we can permit divinity to shine forth from us through our acceptance of certain agreements which bring more love and joy into our lives. But first, your question for the week. What is the one choice that you can make today to willingly examine your belief system, to release disempowering beliefs, and to adopt new beliefs that bring more loving energy into your life? One more time. What is the one choice that you can make today to willingly examine your belief system, to release disempowering beliefs, and to adopt new beliefs that bring more loving energy into your life? We joked in ministerial school about doing 52 talks a year, all on the same topic, that we're all one, and God is in each of us. And one of my favorite quotes is in Ernest Holmes' book, This Thing Called You. He reminds us, there is a power within you to create the life you want. There is a power within you to create the life you want. So today, as we start this new series, the message is pretty much the same, with a twist, of course. The twist being that we have been living a dream. And unfortunately, as you heard in the reading, most of us are living someone else's dream, or at least part of someone else's dream, all because we adopted a belief system early in our childhood that we bought into and never truly examined once we became adults. Your view of your reality is based on your knowledge of life. What events occurred in your life, what you came to believe about who you are because of those events, what you chose to believe that someone you trusted or loved said about you. Knowledge of this type is not the truth. There is a distortion of the images projected on you when you fail to say, no, that's not true. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to challenge you to consider the agreements you have adopted, which tell you what you can and cannot do, who you can and cannot be, and what you can and cannot have. Before we begin with the 5 agreements, I want to talk to you about knowledge. Did you know that knowledge actually has 4 levels? When I used to have clients coming into my office for coaching or practitioner sessions, I used to remind them about these 4 levels because we move through those 4 levels anytime we start adopting new beliefs. The first level is you don't know and you don't know you don't know. For example, 6-month-old babies don't know how to ride a bike. And they don't know that. Babies at that point are just concerned about the milk truck coming. So they know how to get the milk truck. They cry or they whimper or they wail. The second level is you don't know and you know you don't know. Fast forward 5 or 6 years. A young child doesn't know how to ride a bike. They most likely know that they don't know how, though they might want to learn how. So they don't know, and they know that they don't know. And then there's the third level. Anybody remember the first time that you rode a bike without training wheels? You know how, and you're in some level of learning to know it fully. So for us, it was all about skinned knees and skinned elbows. Yeah, I know today's kids wear helmets and knee pads and elbow pads. But those of us born in the 40s and 50s, we lived life with abandon. Get on and take your chances. The final level of knowledge is that you know, and you are in mastery. After you ride a bike for a while, you don't think much about it. You jump on and you go. It's a lot like driving a car. You can go from home to the grocery store or to work or to an event and not even remember the drive because your brain has so fully mastered the task that it's just looking out for things that are out of the ordinary to warn you about danger, like cars cutting you off or stopping abruptly in front of you. These stages of knowledge are important to remember when we start to try to learn to use the 5 agreements. We don't go from level 1 to level 4 in a split second. We have to work our way up. So today, for those of you who are not aware of the agreements, I'm moving you from level 1 to level 2, and we'll work on the other levels of knowledge over the next 8 weeks. The good news, you're in control of your knowledge level, and you can choose how much knowledge you want to embrace regarding these 5 agreements. In the Ernest Holmes papers, Holmes wrote this: "We are in the arms of a tenderness. We are in the atmosphere of a sweetness. We are in the presence of a light far beyond our dreaming." I love that phrase, the presence of a light far beyond our dreaming. So how do we step into the presence of that light that Ernest Holmes was speaking about? There's a story about a bishop's boat that landed on a remote island. He was going to be there for only one day and decided to make the best use of that time. So as he strolled along the seashore, he came across 3 fishermen who were mending their nets. They saw his collar and proudly told them that they were Christians, pointing to each other. The bishop was impressed. Yet when he asked them if they knew the Lord's Prayer, they'd never heard of it. Then how do you pray, he asked. They said they lifted their eyes to heaven and prayed, "We are three, you are three, have mercy on us." Well, the bishop was appalled, and he judged the prayer to be of a heretical nature. So he spent his day teaching the three fishermen the Lord's Prayer. They were actually poor learners, but they were eager. And before the bishop left, they had recited it without fault. Well, months later, the bishop's vessel passed those islands again. He was on the dock saying his prayers and reflecting on the pleasure of having taught those three fishermen the Lord's Prayer. He could see a light in the distance, and it was moving towards the ship. As the light got closer, he saw the three fishermen walking on water. The captain stopped the boat, and everyone was leaning over the rails to see this sight. When they were close enough to hear, the bishop heard them say, "Bishop, we heard your boat and we hurried to meet you." The awe-stricken bishop asked, "What is it you want?" "Bishop," they said, "we are sorry. We forgot the lovely prayer. We say, 'Our Father in heaven, holy be your name, your kingdom come.' Then we forget. Please tell us the prayer again." The bishop was humbled. "Go back to your homes, my friends," he said, "and each time you pray, say, 'We are three, you are three. Have mercy on us.'" Whose values was the bishop using when he forced his style of prayer on those three fishermen? Yet I think we do that all the time. We have certain values, and we tell other people and try to convince them to do things our way. Ralph Waldo Trine, in his writing In Tune with the Infinite, urges this: "If we will but follow this voice of intuition, it will speak even more clearly and more plainly, until by and by it will be absolute and unerring in its guidance. The great trouble with us is that we do not listen to and do not follow this voice within our own souls. And so we become as a house divided against itself. We are pulled this way and that, and we are never certain of anything." I want you to think for a minute of something that happened at least 2 years ago where you felt guilty or fearful or shameful. It might just be a ghost of something in your mind, but think how you felt about it back then. Did that feeling of guilt or shame or fear come rushing back when you thought about that event? Did the Catholic or the Baptist or the Church of Christ teachings creep back into your life in some negative way? What I want to do is take that incident and very briefly show you how the 5 agreements might help that memory be different. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. When you judged yourself for whatever happened, whether it was blame, shame, or fear, you used your word against yourself. And that's not being impeccable with your word. And the second agreement is don't take anything personally. Something happened back then and you took it personally. It's just a ghost of a memory, and yet you can bring it up. And I imagine feel all that guilt and shame and fear right now. It's personal. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. This happened many years ago, and yet you might still feel the guilt and the shame, and you might also be assuming that everybody remembers it and is still judging you. You're making assumptions. The fourth agreement is always do your best. You didn't always do your best just now when you recalled the event, because doing your best does not bring us misery or suffering. Doing your best means you do the best you can with what you know at the time, and you let go of anything that's not in divine order. And everything is always in divine order. And the fifth agreement is be skeptical and learn to listen. When we look at all the possibilities and are skeptical of what we judge to be true, when we learn to listen from a place of non-judgment and love, from that place within our heart that seeks, as St. Francis encouraged us, as much to understand as to be understood, then we don't blame or shame ourselves, and we don't move into fear. We see it as doing the best we could with the information we have at the moment. And if we believe that, there is no blame and no shame and no guilt and no fear. We forgive ourselves as well as others and listen to our divine heart of love. Ernest Holmes, in Lessons in Spiritual Mind Healing, wrote this: "The will gives us the self-control not to compel nor to coerce, but to live in constant agreement with our own word." Imagine a world where people learn to listen rather than to compel or coerce. Wow, now that's a planet I want to live on. This series teaches you how to start now to listen to that still small voice within you and learn new agreements with yourself that allow you to love more and judge less. In the Bible, in Jeremiah 33:3, there are words that remind us to ask for help so we can learn more love and judge less. Here's what it says: "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. I don't know about you, but those great and unsearchable things that I don't know about, I'm being pulled to want to learn more about it. Ernest Holmes in Creative Mind wrote this: "We have within us a power that is greater than anything that we shall ever contact in the outer. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and in a new life. We have as much of this power to use in our daily life as we can believe in and embody." So are you willing to embrace those words, that we have as much of that power to use as we can believe in and embody? If your answer is yes, which of course I hope it is, then you are ready for this journey through the 5 agreements. And the journey requires us to notice the hidden agreements that we've adopted and be willing to adopt different ones if the ones we have are not serving us. In James 1:19, we read these wise words that remind us how we might be more loving and less judgmental in our lives. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. What I hope happens over these next 8 weeks is that we learn these agreements that empower each of us to be willing to follow that still small voice and believe that it is unerring, to be quick to listen and slow to anger. I hope each of us can become dream masters, controlling our dreams by making choices. Want my secret to joyful living? Learn to create rather than react. Yes, easier said than done, I can tell you. In physics, we learned that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And that's true in our emotional lives as well. Not only that, we often constantly repeat our reactions, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Have you ever thought about the words creation and reaction? They have the same letters, except that in creation, we see first. We can't control the world, yet we can control our reaction to it. We can control how we react to our governing bodies in Congress, how we react to the events of the globe that appear appalling, how we react to our parents and our bosses and our friends and how they see us, and how we react to our families and their expectations of us. This series is about learning this one truth. We can create for ourselves ways to react to what occurs in our world in a way that is loving, or at the very least, non-judgmental. Chris Michaels, in Your Soul's Assignment, has these wise words of wisdom. Be gentle. Allow Spirit to express through you in its own way and time. Meditate daily on being receptive to what it wants to express in your life. Listen to special messages or urges that arise from within. And then trust your inner guidance. Be patient. Sometimes your callings will come in flashes of inspiration through dark nights of the soul or through dissatisfaction. So what might be waiting to be expressed through you? What inner message are you missing by covering yourself in blame and shame or fear and guilt, or by living from agreements that are no longer serving you? Where are you dissatisfied in life? Ernest Holmes, in the 10 Ideas That Make a Difference, wrote, "Living really should be without struggle and always with enthusiasm. Man exists that life may operate through him and express itself in him. We should think of the divine presence as infinite joy, beauty, and wisdom, and have gratitude for it. We should think of the law of good as being infinite in its capacity and willing to create anything that is good." So today, let us each adopt Holmes' words that living should be without struggle and always with enthusiasm. And let us begin to examine any agreement we adopted in our life that has us reacting and creating judgment rather than sending out love. Let us remember that the law of good is infinite in its capacity. So in summary, decide this week to create rather than react in your life. And to do this, remember to be willing to examine what you believe. There is a power within you to create the life you want. And remember those 4 levels of knowledge. So be gentle with yourself as you move through these levels, relating to becoming more loving and less judgmental. The 5 agreements help us come from love. So it's time to break the dysfunctional agreements we have and adopt a new set of beliefs that brings us energy and vitality. Become a dream master. Create rather than react. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so easily and willingly make the choice today to willingly examine my belief system, to release disempowering beliefs, and to adopt new beliefs that bring more loving energy into my life? So your challenge for this week is to create your life rather than reacting to what's happening in it. And just to be noticing any dysfunctional agreements you might have made in the past. Remember, there is a power within you to create the life you want. So since you are at least on level 2 of the knowledge scale, you know what you don't know. So take that first step towards increasing your knowledge. Let's pray. So we take a deep, nourishing breath and we move into that place within us where we do know that energy of love and vitality, that energy of the divine. And we know that it's a unique expression of the divine, that all that is love lives right within us. And what I know is that each of us are taking time this week to examine our belief systems, to look at those things that we adopted when we were younger, and to see if they're serving us, and if they're not, to release them and let them go. So I am grateful. I am grateful to this community. I'm grateful to the knowing that we will help each other as we move along adopting these 5 agreements that will allow our lives to be more loving and less judgmental. And it's from all that gratitude that I release these words into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth that right where we are, God is. And God has already said yes. So I can just let it be, say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And I want to thank everyone who made a special donation at Easter, and also all the people that just continue to support us so that we can be looking for a place and start meeting in person sometime in September. I'm very excited about being back in person soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy our offertory song.
From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me, multiplied abundantly. From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world
can find all of the information for donating at our website at cslsoutheastla.org. You can use the donate button there, or you can use Zella or Venmo at 225-287-8887. You can text your amount to 1-225-320-5100, or you can mail your donation to CSL Southeast Louisiana, care of Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, 445 Magnolia Wood Avenue, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70808. We thank you for your tithes and donations, and we appreciate the fact that you are giving gifts that are flowing out to everyone we touch. I'm so grateful to Gary Lynn Floyd for providing this offertory song. Let's promise ourselves to rise and shine each day and examine our beliefs so that we can live more loving lives. The title is, I Promise Myself.
I promise myself to do my best, loosen my grip and give it a rest. Find myself a soft place to fall. I promise myself to give it all. I promise myself some peace of mind. I make the choice to be loving and kind. With my arms around me right from the start, I hear the sound of my very own heart. And every day I'm ready to rise, ready to shine with a smile on my face. I'm gonna walk on the sunny side, I promise myself. I promise myself to be so strong, nothing can keep me down for long. Toss the map and forge a new path, and if I stumble, I'll have a good laugh. I promise myself to jump and dance and open up every time I get the chance. So much beauty in the world I see. If you need a helping hand, you can count on me. And every day I'm ready to rise, ready to shine with a smile on my face. I'm gonna walk on the sunny side, I promise myself. I'm gonna soften my heart and write my own song. Do my part, keep rolling on. I am a gift, I give it my all. I promise myself I will answer the call. Every day, ready to rise, ready to shine with a smile on my face. I'm gonna walk on the sunny side every day. I'm ready to rise, ready to shine with a smile on my face. I'm gonna walk on the sunny side, I promise myself. I promise myself, yeah. I promise myself.
Next week, we're going to delve into the first agreement in much more detail. Be impeccable with your word. Our words are powerful, and we can use them to praise, and sometimes we use them to belittle. So next week, we examine possibly one of the hardest tasks in life, staying in integrity with our word. always using it to spread truth and love. I hope you'll join us. Thank you for joining us today. I invite you to like us on Facebook at Center for Spiritual Living, Southeast Louisiana. And please follow us on our YouTube channel at CSL SELA. And it's just about time to join in our community time, which is a live discussion that follows the service every Sunday at 11:45 a.m. You have a little bit of time to go get a cup of coffee or some tea, and then dial into our conference line. The number is 540-792-0192, and the participation code is 475220. We hope you'll join us. And so in closing, remember, Disney claims to be the happiest place on earth, but we at the Center for Spiritual Living in Southeast Louisiana know that we are absolutely the most joyful. And so until we meet again, may you be wrapped in the arms of love and of kindness. And may you remember to examine what it is you believe and create your life from love and from joy. Because I know when we come from that place of love and joy, that we feel very much alive.
Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive, alive forevermore. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive forevermore. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive, alive forevermore. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah.